Hello there! Today I'm making a short tutorial about how to convert color photos into black and white. There are actually multiple ways to make an image black and white in Photoshop. The quickest way must be Command-Shift-U, a simple desaturate. You can also use a hue and saturation adjustment layer or a vibrance saturation adjustment layer, or the destructive version of these. They are found up here in the Image Adjustments menu. You can also convert from RGB to black and white color space, but that's a more drastic method because you lose all color information. Look at the channels, only one left. The best way to convert to black and white is the dedicated black and white adjustment layer. It's non-destructive as all the adjustment layers, and you can find it in the bottom of the layer panel as a name or in the adjustment panel as a small icon. The reason why it's superior to the other methods is because you have the possibility to control the brightness of the individual underlying colors, and that's a pretty big deal. Look at this beautiful rose. The vibrant red color really stands out because the leaves in the background have complementary colors. But if we make a simple desaturate with Command-Shift-U, that's Control-Shift-U on a PC, we get a very dull result with no difference between the red and green. Let's undo and desaturate with the hue and saturation adjustment layer. Same result. If we use a vibrant saturation adjustment layer, we actually get a little bit better result, because this slider has a color conversion in a way where the individual colors are closer to how human eyes perceive colors. But with a black and white adjustment layer, we can actually decide how big a difference we want in luminance to achieve the same feeling of a color standing out. I think this conversion here is more true to how we would experience a rose in black and white. Let's take a short look at how the human eye perceives colors. Inside our eye, we have light-sensitive rod cells and color-sensitive cone cells. The cone cells have red, green and blue receptors, just like we know from digital cameras and the channels in Photoshop. There is a big difference between how the color-sensitive red and green cone cells perceive the rose and how it's rendered in the rod cells. You probably have experienced a more extreme version of this. Maybe you have been sitting with a printed magazine and wondered why the letters sometimes are flickering like a poor quality computer screen. Your eyes are not capable of deciding which of the two colors here are the brightest, because your brain gets confused by the very contrasty image from the cone cells and no useful data from the rod cells. The hard edge letters seems to have ghosting and flickering edges, but if we add a hue and saturation adjustment layer and dial down saturation, we end up with a mid-gray image and no visible letters, just like the rod cells perceive the image. The two complementary colors have the exact same brightness value and are therefore rendered gray if we just desaturate. This is why the way we convert to black and white is so important. We can make these letters stand out if we add a black and white adjustment layer and dial up magenta and dial down cyan, or vice versa if we want the letters to be the darkest ones. Time to look at some real-life examples. Here we have a little playhouse in the bushes. If we convert to black and white, all the fine details in the bushes disappear. We need to raise the yellows and maybe the greens too. Now the sky is too bright, and we can dial down the blues, and if that's not enough, we can darken the horizon with the cyan slider. Maybe the whole image needs a little brightness now, but that's easily done with a curves layer. A little fun fact: back in the analog days we used red and yellow filters in front of the camera to achieve the same punchy look on black and white films. Luckily, nowadays the expensive filters are only one click away. The next example is this redhead with charming freckles. You can easily suppress or enhance the freckles But take care with extreme adjustments when it comes to faces. We can really turn her into a monster if we push it too far, so let's quickly undo. If we for some reason want to suppress the freckles a little, we work with the red and yellow, and we often have to add a little contrast to make it look natural. Finally, if we work with raw images in the RAW converter, there is a version of the black and white adjustment layer. It's called the B&W Mixer. But here we have even more sliders to work with. In Photoshop we have 6 sliders, but in the RAW converter we have 8. We have additionally orange and purple, and the cyan slider is now called Aquas. Unfortunately, Adobe has removed the color from the sliders for the sake of cool design. I don't find that very user-friendly if you have a visual mind. By the way, this is the thumbnail image, and with a few more steps in the Basic tab, we have turned a rather ordinary cloud photo into something with a lot more drama. Well, that was all for now. I hope you learned something. If you did, please like, subscribe, add a comment, or ring that bell for future notifications. Thank you and goodbye.